So we will go ahead. The time is 7:32. So I call this public hearing and regular business meeting of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia on Monday, April 27th, 2020 to order. The time is 7:32. Have a quorum on the call. Tony, with this being a call and not everyone being on video, should we do a voice roll call on who's here?
I think that'd be a good idea, Mayor. That's a good idea.
Okay, so Mayor is present. Mayor Pro Tem Dave Manuel,
Present.
Christy Linsky,
Present.
Solange Destang,
Oh, no.
unmute. I see you there talking, just can't hear you. So Solange is there, Todd
I'm here.
and Gretchen Schultz.
I'm here.
Okay, so we've established a voice quorum. We've got a few ceremonial matters. We've got some proclamations tonight. Got Proclamation 20-20-5 for Arbor Day. In 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And where this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And when trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Therefore, I, Barbara Bender, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody's proud to be somebody, join with our City Council and the citizens of Snellville to hereby proclaim the day of April 24th, 2020, as the celebration of Arbor Day in the City of Snellville. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. That's the Arbor Day. Now, Proclamation 20-20-06 for the 51st Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Where's Melissa? Are you on the call somewhere?
Yes, I'm here.
So this is for Melissa and all the municipal clerks through May the 9th. Whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And the professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful in their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Where most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, I, I, Barbara Bender, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody's proud to be somebody, do hereby join with our City Council and the citizens of Snellville to recognize the week of May 3rd through May the 9th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Melissa Arnold, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services that they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Proclaim this 27th day of April 2020.
Thank you, Mayor.
And thank you, Melissa, for all your work that you do to help us stay straight here in the city. Now I have one more proclamation. We've got Proclamation 2020-07 for National Travel and Tourism Week. Travel has a critical role in Snellville, Georgia, and the nation's economic prosperity. Whereas travel has been the foundation of a healthy workforce, serving as one of the largest private sector employers in the U.S., supporting 15.8 million jobs in 2019, including 9 million directly in the travel industry and 6.8 million in other industries. Whereas leisure travel, which accounts for more than 3/4 of all trips taken in the U.S., spurs countless benefits to travelers' health and wellness, creativity, cultural awareness, education, happiness, productivity, and relationships. Whereas businesses and workers in the travel industry were some of the first and hardest hit by the economic crisis resulting from coronavirus. Whereas travel and tourism dependent businesses, 83% of which are small businesses, depend on our community support through and after this crisis. Whereas even while Snellville Tourism and Trade Association and its members cannot welcome visitors in person, the spirit of travel and hospitality remains the enduring ethos of the travel industry in Snellville, Georgia. Whereas the spirit of travel will be a necessary and prominent component of our return to everyday life and must be supported and protected at all costs. Therefore, I, Barbara Bender, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody's proud to be somebody, do hereby join with our City Council and the citizens of Snellville to hereby proclaim May 3rd through the 9th, 2020 as National Travel and Tourism Week in the City of Snellville. And I urge the citizens of Snellville, Georgia, to join me in recognizing the critical role this industry plays in our community. Dated the 27th day of April 2020. And just like to encourage everybody to visit the STAT website at snellvilleevents.com to see all the fun things that STAT's going to be doing during the week of May 3rd through the 9th. There's something for everyone, including some virtual tours. So you won't want to miss that. That's snellvilleevents.com. So that's all for our ceremonial matters. Before I get to the minutes, I do want to just state for all the callers, if you're not speaking on the call, if you would mute your phone to help eliminate some of the background noise. And then also that this meeting is being recorded. So we'll move on to the minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the March 9th, 2020 meetings, the March 20th, 2020 emergency meeting, and March 27th, 2020 emergency meeting.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I think I had 6 ayes. Did I have 6?
I think so.
Aye.
Aye.
So that is 6 in favor and none opposed, so the minutes are approved. Now we'll move on to our committee department reports. And first we'll have from Councilwoman Schultz an update on plans for managing the farmers market. Gretchen?
Okay, as y'all know, our
our summer market is scheduled to begin the first Saturday in June. And we've been doing a lot of thinking about it with this coronavirus and just how we can best have that market. And what we've done, if you'll look at that diagram of the green that I put in the agenda packet, we went out and actually measured the area of the green, which is within that dark black line, the area of the green where pedestrians walk. And we actually, I mean, truly measured it and calculated. In fact, you can see Kurt's calculations on that diagram. We calculated the total square footage of the area where people walk when they come to the market. We did not include the vendor tent areas because they're already spaced. Each tent space is 12 feet wide, so they're all already spaced in a way that's acceptable for social distancing. But so we took the total square footage of the area where the customers walk, and we calculated the area of a circle with a 12-foot diameter, which would mean if a person was standing in that circle, they would have 6 feet around them in all directions. We divided the square footage of that 12-foot circle into the total square footage of the pedestrian area for the market, and it came out to 100, which means we could allow 100 people in the customer pedestrian area and be able to maintain social distancing. So what we plan to do, and this is a job Marcy has already volunteered to do, so you know it will be done. We will count people when they come into the market, when they start coming in. Once we reach 100 people, we will then have them line up on the sidewalk 6 feet apart. And then as people leave the market area, we'll allow the same number of people to come into the market area. And that way we'll be able to maintain 6 feet in all directions from a person that's in the market. Of course, we can't control if a husband and wife come and they don't care to separate, but that's our plan for ensuring that we don't allow too many people into the market at any one time. And I wanted you to understand that and how we plan to do that. Do you have any questions about it?
Yes, I'd suggest you put some chalk marks on the sidewalk where they're going to
Okay.
line up at 6-foot intervals,
That's a good idea.
so they have a reference.
Okay, we can do that. Dave, I'm also going to talk to Kathy. I want to get some signs made. Signs that say, please observe social distancing. Also, we want to have signs made to put in the vendor booths, telling people that they're not to touch the products in the booth. We just want them to communicate verbally with the vendor what they want. They're not to be touching the tomatoes to find the best one and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have that kind of signage available.
Gretchen, this is Todd. In your metric, you talked about dividing or using a 6-foot circle. But if we only have, okay,
12 foot.
Right, but I'm the center point, so it's 6 feet any direction.
Right,
so
12-foot diameter.
Right, so you're actually 50% under what you need to be. Because if we only have to have a total of 6 foot spacing between individuals, that would be a 6 foot across, or 3 feet from my center point at any period of time. And then Christy would have to have her circle bumping my circle would be 3 feet, 3 feet, giving us 6 feet. So I think you just cut your number in half, which I salute you for, but
Okay.
just think about that.
Yeah.
I think you may be able to go 150 or 200 without a problem. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, thanks for pointing that out. I guess my math wasn't. We were just thinking a person needed 6 feet all around them, but you're right, because then if the person next to them has 6 feet all around them, they would be 12 feet apart. So, okay, we'll take a look at that. But that's our plan, to actually count people coming in, you know, and then once we reach that maximum number, to have them wait on the sidewalk, just like they're doing at some of the stores now. Is there anything else you can suggest that we might, we're going to tell vendors not to give samples. I don't think we need to have sampling. Is there anything else you can think of that I haven't mentioned?
If it's available, you might want to have some sanitizer around.
Yeah. I did find, I did have some that we'll have in our volunteer booth. I found, believe it or not, I found some at Kroger for $1.19 a 8-ounce bottle. We will also encourage all the vendors to have hand sanitizer in their booths, to have like Clorox wipes or Lysol wipes or whatever, for any surfaces that might get touched. That type of thing we'll also encourage. Tony, I don't think we can require people to wear masks, can we? Or should we? Or
It's suggested.
I mean,
Yes.
I can see us getting some flack from customers if we require it, but we could.
The problem is having them, just finding them for people, but it's a good idea in that environment to have a mask.
We
I think
could
it is
certainly,
recommended.
we could encourage it, right?
Yes, ma'am. I think it really should be a guideline that they should not violate.
Okay.
Now,
Are you talking vendors and customers?
I think especially vendors
Right.
should be required to, and then customers, it should be really encouraged.
Okay.
Gretchen, what about animals? Are there different regulations for dog traffic?
Gosh, I haven't heard of any regulations as far as dogs. I know dogs, as far as I understand, can't carry the virus. Any thoughts about that?
Only that I think animals invite touching, because people always want to pet the dogs, and I don't know if that's an issue or not. Just something to consider.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well,
Certainly no
that's
cats.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
cats.
Oh, cats?
Certainly no cats.
I don't really see that that's really a discriminatory practice in this case, but I'm going to let that go, Dave.
Well, thank you, Gretchen, for all that great work on the farmers market. Does anybody have any other questions for her?
Let me know
Okay.
if you have any other suggestions. We want it to be as safe as possible. I'm sure y'all know that.
Absolutely. Now we'll move on to Butch with their update of ongoing projects.
I made a lot of notes because there are several things to discuss regarding the town center. The first topic will be Michael Kidd and the landscape architecture work that he's done. He's made a wonderful presentation to the council. We've had several conversations with Michael, and I think what we've been able to provide is a little direction and some focus for Michael. He is, there was a meeting last week that he had, virtual meeting, with the Smallwood folks, the landscape architectural firm for Casto. I think they came together on a lot of concepts, and basically what we're waiting on now is Smallwood is doing what I would consider the basic plan for the green. If you remember, we share in 50% of the design costs, but the Casto has 100% of the construction costs. So we're going to wait on that, on Smallwood to come up with that base plan. I am providing some budget guidelines for Michael to start work on. Basically, he's going to be starting his work on the promenade from Clower into the green in front of the market and the library, and we'll work with Casto once we have the base plan for from them and Smallwood. So things are progressing there. We're just kind of waiting on Casto, and I'll have a number for Michael to work with. Next topic, United States Postal Service. A lot's going on. What's that?
I was going to ask if there's an update on the post office. I thought you were done with the first item.
What's that, Gretchen?
It's okay. I was just going to ask if there was an update on the post office.
Okay, there are several items on the post office agenda. There is another contractor meeting, and this is just a meeting for contractors to get their bid together. Another meeting coming up Thursday. We have been in touch with 2 potential contractors we know are negotiating with the Postal Service. This will not be something they're putting out for bid. They are negotiating, and that will save us a little bit of time. Hopefully that will happen fairly quickly. We're also working with them on the back of the existing, the rear property, if you will, the vacant property of the existing post office, trying to work out an area there where potentially we could come to an early agreement where we could start site work early and include that area of the post office. They're interested in amending the exchange agreement to include that if we can come up with the exact area that they can give up and still maneuver their vehicles into the existing post office. We're also working, Chuck is working on language for an easement at the new post, where the new post office will be, the SunTrust building. They're going to have 1 or 2 transfer trucks, tractor trailer trucks, that have to back in to the new post office there. And that will require an easement, a right of access easement, where they will pull into the parking area of Wisteria Plaza a few minutes a day and back into the post office. We've talked to the owners of Wisteria Plaza. They're very amenable to agreeing to any type of easement language. And as I said, Chuck is working on that. So things are progressing, not quickly, but I think we have good support there, and we continue to push them. Parking deck. CPL is working on the design there, a design that everybody is agreed upon. They're moving on fairly quickly. The RFQ request for qualifications will go out this week for a construction manager on the parking deck project. A lot of people are looking for work out there and are interested in that. It is also, with everything we've discussed, and we had a long virtual meeting with TSW, the parking deck remains well within the budget forecast that's been in place for a number of months now. On the library, the county is working through several things: the design, the budget, and the construction IGA. So we're trying to keep them engaged and online, and I think that's happening. We have another meeting scheduled this week, an interior design meeting, and we'll let you know about that. The market development agreement. Basically, the way I look at this is we're agreed upon the concept of the agreement, but I think there are some specifics and some details to be worked out. Tony and Chuck have reviewed that. I hope that we can adjust everything we need to, look at all our red flags, and have that back on the May 11th meeting. We'll get with legal regarding that. So basically, that's kind of an update on on everything that's going on with the town center. Moving on, the second item has to do with human resources. Obviously, with what we're facing with the virus, we aren't going to be moving towards hiring anybody or interviewing anybody. We're basically working on, when it comes to HR and everything having to do finance, we're working on the budget. You will have a budget in hand for a May 11th first reading. I'll try to get those preliminary numbers out to you this week with an explanation. Since it's 2020, I put some interesting percentages there in the final box. You can see that the U.S. response rate stands at 53.2%. Georgia stands at 49.9%. Gwinnett is 57.5%. And thanks to everything that Solange and Brian have done, Snellville is at 64%. Still not where we need to be, but certainly better than everybody else at this present moment. So good work there. The UDO is ongoing. Caleb has provided a final draft to the staff, and they're reviewing that. And the schedule will remain the same. We'll have to put a schedule together when we can have a public meeting. That probably cannot be a virtual meeting either, I don't believe. Snellville Days, of course, was canceled, and when we can reliably get back together, we'll start talking about the future. Commercial property code enforcement. Because of the everything that small businesses are going through right now, everything all of our local businesses are going through, we're looking at relaxing some of our signage codes and some other restrictive codes, not letting it get out of hand, but we're going to deal with this on an individual basis. And like most things, Jason and his staff handle that very well. The city special event coordination had a meeting scheduled with Explore Gwinnett. Obviously, that was delayed because of the virus. It will be rescheduled. Ordinance development continues, as you're well aware, through Tony and Chuck. They always do a good job. And just talking a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 on our budget. Right now, it looks like we will be able to finish out the current budget, the FY20 budget, where our revenues will probably be very, very close to 100%. We will have a few more expenditures that hopefully we'll get reimbursed for several of those. We're keeping those separate. When it comes to next year, as I said in a memo a couple weeks ago, the outlook is not so bright. Right now, as far as the general fund is concerned, we're probably looking at a 10 to 12, maybe 14% reduction in revenues. And in a $13 million budget, that could be almost $2 million. SPLOS will probably be hurt harder than that, especially early on. We're looking at probably a 20–25% short-term reduction in SPLOS funds. Fortunately, Our revenues have been very strong up to this point. We can continue to maintain most of our budget. We'll just have to look and see where that goes. But I can guarantee you, as the virus response continues and as revenues decline, we'll have an adopted budget in June, and it will be a balanced budget. But I'll guarantee you, we'll be talking about a lot of budget amendments as time goes on. So that's kind of all I have in the project budget. I'm glad to answer questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Butch?
Butch, only on the construction supervisor. There's a lot of people looking for work. Some of them are looking for work for other reasons than the virus. So we're not obligated to take the lowest bidder on that, are we?
Dave, that's why it's an RFQ,
Okay.
request for qualifications. Pricing will be part of that, but there will be criteria that they will have to meet. And as we talked earlier, we can reject all bids, and we'll try to find the lowest, most qualified bidder.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have a question for Butch? Okay, thank you, Butch. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda for the April 27th, 2020 meeting.
I have a modification for that with the addition that public hearing matters cannot be handled through a virtual meeting, and all public hearing matters will be postponed until our first actual public meeting, probably May 11th.
Gretchen, were you okay with that change?
That's fine. I didn't show a public hearing on my agenda, so I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. So all in favor of approval of the agenda, please raise your hand. Can we do it that way? 1, 2, 3.
Aye.
Okay, I see 6 hands. So the agenda is approved. Again, we have no public hearing. We do have a second reading, what Mayor Pro Tem Emanuel was referring to for those of you on the call. We do have a second reading on a property on Main Street. I don't have the address right in front of me, and that one was postponed prior to this meeting. And right now, under these orders where we can't have a public meeting, we cannot do that public hearing. So that's being pushed to May the 11th. Hopefully we'll be able to have it at that point. We have one item on the consent agenda. We have item A, resolution 2020-08, authorizing the appointment of Elizabeth Reisner to be the prosecuting attorney for the municipal court of the city of Snellville. And unless there are no objections, then the consent agenda will be approved. Any objections? No objections. Now we'll move on to, there is no old business, and we'll move on to new business. We have item A, consideration and action on award of bid for stormwater drainage projects. Is there a motion?
Motion to award the bid for stormwater drainage projects to Dickerson Group at the amount of $263,434.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was first on that?
I think I was.
Dave? And Butch, would you like to give everybody a quick update on this?
I would. It's a little confusing. This is the this expenditure of $263,000 is basically the remainder of our budget funds for this year. We have already completed 10 projects in the amount of almost 400,000. We had 762,000 total for the year. So this will spend us down to somewhere around $100,000, which we like to have on hand for emergency projects. So all in all, we will complete about 15 projects this year, somewhere in the neighborhood right now of 670,000. So we still have some money left for emergency projects.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands. So that contract is approved to the Dickerson Group. Next item under new business, we have consideration and action on approval of resolution 2020-07, automated traffic enforcement safety devices in local school zones. And Butch, if you'd like to explain what this is before we take a motion.
I'll be glad to. This is just what it says, an automatic traffic enforcement safety system that will be placed in our three different school zones: South Gwinnett, Snellville Middle on Pate, and at Britt Elementary on Skyland. This is legislative approved. It's something that Roy has been looking into. We've checked with other communities, including Lilburn, Dunwoody, that have put this same system in, and we've gotten very positive reviews about it. As you know, we spend some enforcement time in these areas, and going forward with our budget situation, it will be nice to be able to reposition those officers and save those hours there. And it is a safety program. Everybody knows some of the situations that we have on 78, some of the things that have happened before in front of South Gwinnett, and we feel like this automated camera system will be very positive for that. It's totally violator funded. The fines are set: $75 for the first offense, $125 for the second, and 65% of the revenue comes to the city, and it has to stay in public safety. It has to be used for law enforcement, and that will certainly help revenue-wise also for PD. And I'd ask Roy if he would like to add anything to that.
Basically, studies were done that determined that they're absolutely necessary to put these processes in place. It also provides us with a system to read license plates in front of the school. That'll help us identify people who are wanted on warrants, those types of issues. But where automated enforcement is done, you can see the violations significantly reduce over time, and that's the goal.
What kind of violations are these able to monitor and take care of?
Speed
The only violation is speeding that's monitored, and an officer has to verify each one.
Okay.
Chief, I have a question. How does that work on a 5-lane roadbed, like out in front of South Gwinnett on 78? How does it control all, well, 4 of the?
Right, it does the 4 lanes. The cameras cover each individual lane, just like the flock cameras do that are on 78 for people that are coming in from the west side of town. It covers all 6 lanes over there. It'll cover all 4 in front of the school.
Okay, with that, if I would, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2020-07, automated traffic enforcement safety devices in local school zones.
All right, I mute myself. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
If you ask for a second, I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that motion carries. We have item number C, consideration and action on approval of a quitclaim deed to Gwinnett County for tract or parcel of land lying and being in land lot 26 of the 5th District of Gwinnett County, commonly known as the Water Tower. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the quitclaim deed to be signed by the mayor.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
And just a quick explanation, and Butch, just correct me if I'm wrong here, but what's happened is years and years ago, the city of Snellville sold their water system to Gwinnett County, and Gwinnett either cannot find a deed or one wasn't recorded. So we are just doing a quick claim deed of the property to the county so that that deed can be recorded. Am I right?
That's correct. It's also, they have safety concerns about the tower. And just today or in the last couple of days, Tony and Chuck have added wording which gives us access, should we need it, to our radio equipment on the tower. And so it's a little built-in extra protection there.
Okay, and so we have a motion. Are there any other questions by council on this?
I was just curious, how is that property zoned?
Gretchen, it's RS 180.
I thought it was WT.
I checked with John Dennis last week, and it's RS 180. There you go.
I thought it'd be WT for water tower.
Okay, with that, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 in favor and none opposed. So that carries. Now we move on to item D, consideration and action on disposal of property located at 1632 Fars Road. This will be authorization for Butch Sanders to have the property auctioned. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 2020-09 to allow the auction and sale of the property 1632 Fars Road.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And just an explanation of this for anybody that may be on the call. The city owns property at 1632 Fars Road, and right now the property is vacant. And the neighbor has expressed an interest in buying it. We did record a deed that doesn't allow any construction on this piece of property. So this will allow the city manager, this approval tonight will allow the city manager to put this out for auction, because we can't just sell it to one person. It's got to be actually put out to auction. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is 6 in favor and none opposed. So that carries. And we have the last item on the agenda, item E, consideration and action on permanent sign easement at Highway 124 and Oak Road between the city and TX Snellville Scenic LLC. Butch or Tony, do you want to give an explanation of this first, and then we'll take a motion?
Mayor, this is just the document that grants the city the ownership and the sign that has been a condition of zoning of the car wash at the entrance to town center. and it spells out the details of the obligation to construct it according to the plans that are attached to that deed. The mayor suggested this afternoon that we add a 5-year warranty of the workmanship of that sign. And then after that, the city would be responsible for maintenance and have the right to access to maintenance also. So it's just finishing up that condition in a way that the city ends up owning and controlling the sign.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. With that, is there a motion?
Well, just hold up a minute. You said workmanship. Can we make sure it says materials and workmanship on the
We
5-year
can.
warranty?
If that gets incorporated, that language gets incorporated. Mr. Ross already has a provision drafted that's pretty close to that. We'll add materials.
Okay, and is there a motion?
Motion to approve the permanent sign easement at Highway 124 and Oak Road between the city and TX Snellville Scenic LLC.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion by council? Okay, then all in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and the motion carries. So we are through with our agenda. So we'll move in. If there's any council reports, just speak up. And we have, I just also wanted to announce for anybody else on the caller, we've turned on the chat box. If you have any questions, feel free to list that in the chat. We do need your name and address for the record. So you can ask a question through the chat box. And then after the council reports and the mayor's report, we will allow anyone else on the call, if you want to make a comment as well, then you can unmute yourselves and comment away. So we'll start with Solange Destang.
Hi, good evening. I just want to thank the city of Snellville foremost for coming together during this difficult time, of the COVID-19. I have seen where everybody bands together and everybody helps each other, okay? From making face masks to shopping for the elderly, which I have done, and also for feeding almost, our citizens, I guess, who have like food insecurities. And I know that we have Chef Hank, who is one of our, he lives within our city limits of Snellville. He actually has a company, Let Him Eat Inc., and they were servicing the South Gwinnett area, okay, feeding them. And I know that it helps a lot because some of my students actually benefited from his meals. And he didn't only keep it to Snellville, he also broadened his service or his meal giving, I guess, if you will, to the different cities also within Gwinnett. But his first priority was more to get the food distributed within the South Gwinnett area. Also, if you haven't participated in the census, or you haven't gotten a chance yet to fill out your census, I encourage you to do so soon. I'm actually hoping for 100% participation. We can't leave it at 60 plus because we are Snellville, we are the best. And I do want our city to top. I'm very excited to see what the final numbers will be, but I'm challenging you to bring us to 100%, okay? And in the meanwhile, keep safe, continue to help each other, continue to support each other during this difficult time. And if you need anyone of us on council, just to talk to us or just to reach out to us, you can do so with our emails, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Solange. Todd?
Well, for once, I'd like to thank everybody for not coming out tonight and joining us from the safety and comfort of their homes. There are a number of city employees who don't have that option. Our police officers, while the rest of us have been safely ensconced in our homes, enjoying Netflix and various other streaming services, our police officers have been out there doing the same great job that they always do, making sure that they do the social distancing the best they can and keeping us all safe. And I'd really like to also do a shout out to Gay Johnson and Public Works. They have done an exemplary job on stormwater, being able to manage the money in the projects. And it's wonderful that we're able to get 15 projects done this last year with the 5 that we approved tonight. And Public Works opened up the recycling center last Wednesday, and within the first 3 days, one of which was just a drowning rain most of the day, we had over 400 people show up. Haven't got the numbers of who showed up on Saturday, but thank you to everybody, the city manager and Public Works, that managed to get the recycling center back open. So most of us no longer have big piles of sticks in our yards. So with that, everybody continue to stay safe. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And Christy Lindsay?
Hi, with the new digital learning schedule that Gwinnett County Schools has been on, I have had the unique opportunity to have a little extra time to volunteer at the Southeast Co-op food bank. And there is an incredible need in our community. And I just wanted to reach out and remind everyone of some of the basic products. If you can think to go out and get a couple of extra things, especially peanut butter, jelly, and of course, toilet paper. How could we forget that toilet paper? So please keep everyone in mind who does not necessarily have the resources that we do have. Congratulations and a big thank you to Melissa Arnold for Municipal Clerks Week next week. And in addition to that is, of course, National Tourism and Travel Week, but also next week happens to be Teacher Appreciation Week. So please remember to keep teachers in mind. We're going through some challenges as well. And we do accept gifts any time of the year, not just next week.
Thank you. Gretchen Schultz?
Well, I do want to say we greatly appreciate the 2 teachers we have on the city council, Christy Lenski and Solange DeStang. I'm sure this has been a challenging time for you. I did want to tell you about the Snellville Farmers Market. We have, during April, 2 markets in April, and we're doing another one this Saturday. We're doing what we've called drive-through markets. We were challenged with the COVID virus to make our market as safe as we possibly could. So we decided that what we would do, we wanted to particularly help our vendors who are farmers. We didn't want to see them have to plow their crops under because they didn't have an outlet to sell their produce and eggs and those type of things. So we've been doing a drive-through market. We did 2 in April. They have been unbelievably well attended. We have, each time we've had cars lined up out to Oak Road, and we've had 6 vendors. All of them are agricultural vendors. We could not include like our baked good vendors and those type of vendors. We just don't have the space with it being a drive-through market. But people have been so nice about it. We, even though they've had to wait in their cars to get through the market area, we haven't heard a single person complain. Everybody has been cheerful and expressed gratitude for the fact that they feel like they have a place where they can come to get fresh local produce that hasn't been touched by people that package it, put it out in the grocery store, and all the customers that feel all the tomatoes to figure out which one they want. And they're very grateful for an opportunity to purchase what they feel is very safe, local, fresh produce. Last two weeks ago, the Saturday before last, we had a gentleman there who was videotaping the market for the Georgia Grown program of the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And he spent about 2 hours there videotaping vendors. He had a drone operating, flying over the market. And he'll be eventually posting his video on social media. And then it's also going to be, we understand, broadcast on Georgia Public Broadcasting. So we were excited about that. He was extremely impressed with what he saw. So we were glad for that. Some of our vendors, they just did incredibly well at these drive-through markets. A couple of them told us it was their very best market they have ever had. So we were glad to know that we're helping them to have an outlet to sell their produce. The other thing I wanted to mention was the garden, the community garden. They have all winter long been growing vegetable, flower, and herb seedlings in the greenhouse at the garden. They have been to the last 2 drive-through farmers markets, and they have sold over now $2,000 worth of seedlings at these markets. That all the money will go to the garden. And so we were just really thrilled for them. They have put many, particularly a couple of people led by Wes Nettleton. They have put in many hours. We have a greenhouse team there that has nurtured these little plants along, and I'm just very impressed with what they're doing. The garden also recently was awarded a $1,500 Food Well Alliance grant, and that's going to be used for some new equipment for the garden, things like hoses, wheelbarrows, that type of thing, and greenhouse supplies that we need. So we were very happy to get that grant money. And that was also due to Wes Nettleton. He's the one who wrote the grant and shepherded it through the whole process. So my hat goes off to him. He spends hours and hours there. He's there practically every single morning for a couple hours. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Gretchen. And Mayor Pro Tem Emanuel.
Thank you. I want to echo what some other folks have said. Butch and the entire staff at City Hall, I think, has done an outstanding job during this time, dealing with difficult circumstances and doing an exceptionally good job. Also want to commend Melissa for being part of, guess I was mistaken. I thought something else was the world's oldest profession, but apparently it's city clerk. But she's just always done an outstanding job. And every time I have an issue or a question that requires participation by the city clerk, I'm just so thankful for Melissa, because she's knowledgeable, she gets things done, and she gets them done right. Also wanted to mention that last week, Mellow Mushroom had a fundraiser for Southeast Gwinnett Co-op, and we raised $440 through that effort. So that'll go to the co-op as well. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dave. And for the mayor's report, I too would like to echo everyone's comments about the great job our city staff has done, our police department has done. They've been there through all of this and putting themselves out on the front line. We've also, last week, I was able to attend at Eastside Medical Center, an organization called Red, White, and You gave a thank you to Eastside Medical Center, their staff, their doctors and nurses and hospital staff, by having police officers and law enforcement, fire department come from all over the county to give them a salute at 8 o'clock last Tuesday night. They all turned on their lights and they had signs. We had a good representation from our Snellville officers, but there were police there from all over. There were Gwinnett County, Beaufort City Schools was there, Suwanee Police, Norcross Police, Fire Chief, the Sheriff's Office. I know I'm leaving a whole bunch out, but it was really a nice tribute to the medical staff over at Eastside. I think they've done a tremendous job in planning and working through this virus and now working through how we get things back open. And I would like to put out there on their behalf that the hospital is a safe place to go if you are having a medical emergency. They actually had somebody that EMS had gone to that was having a heart attack and did not want to go to the hospital because they thought they were going to catch COVID. But the hospital has done a great job in isolating anyone that's coming in with symptoms and handling this disease. And I appreciate everything that the citizens of Snellville have done over these past 5 or 6 weeks. I feel like everybody has really followed the orders and have really paid attention, and they've stayed home. There's been a lot less traffic on the roads. And I ask you all, I encourage all of you, even though some of these orders are being lifted and some businesses are going back to work, that if you venture out, that you do it safely. And if you find a business who is not adhering to the rules and the restrictions, then don't go into those businesses. That will help encourage them to do the right thing. So we all still need to continue to do our part. Just because some businesses are being allowed to open, it does not mean that you have to go out. So if you don't agree with these orders, then stay home. And if you, again, if you're in that vulnerable category over 65 or you have underlying issues, again, you still need to stay home. So with that, I will end my mayor's report. We do have the chat box open. I haven't seen any questions come in, but I will go quiet for a moment. If anyone would like to ask a question on the call, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Hearing no one, I will, I just got a comment in on the chat box. It said, thank you all for making this setup. It works really well for observers. So I'm glad to hear that. I think it's worked out okay tonight. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. I see 6 hands. All right, everybody, we're done for the evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.